Well, hey, one of the things I've done, Doug, is because I was told that my garage shop was too dusty. So I've got floor to ceiling painter, some heavy duty painter's plastic.
Yeah.
And I just sort of did some overlap for the door. So I've got, it comes together. I got a slit, and then I've got an overlap over that area, and that has really dramatically reduced the dust escaping, shavings escaping.
I have thought of doing that. Just throw some plastic up just for that. But I think I've got doors. Why do I need the plastic?
Yeah, right.
One or the other. One or the other. And
well, the entertaining part about that is it would take you a weekend to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's too busy turning.
20 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Well, a weekend, I meant, all right, I take an hour after lunch and do that.
Yeah. Now, I did put my air cleaner in directly in front of this lathe. It's 5 feet right in front of the lathe. And I can put a new filter on the front of that, and it's dirty in 2 days because it's drawing so much dust through it. So it does a good job, but just doesn't do enough. I could use another one just like it hanging right below it.
Sure.
And
well,
the
cool.
back.
Well,
this is my vacuum cleaner right here. So when I'm sanding, I pull it right up against my work.
Yeah, that's what I do too. The dust and the dust just goes right in. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
What do you have Doug? What do you have your dust collector standing on?
This is a stand.
Hold it up.
If I can, it's heavy. It's a big heavy pipe on a four-way leg. It's a stand that's what this came on. It came on this stand. So it's it pivots up and down. You can see right here the bracket. I can slide it forward, back and forward. The vacuum line hooks on the back, and I've got somewhere. There's a big like a big scoop that goes on the front of this, but I found that this actually draws more dust in like this. So I have
one of those scoops too, and that is exactly the same thing that I found as well.
Right. The big yellow heavy metal. I've got a big plastic one that goes on the bottom of a table saw, and I may stick that on here and just experiment and see how well that does.
Yeah, well, the one I have is the big plastic one that's like a foot square. It's yeah,
that's what this is.
Yeah,
but the straight hose works better.
Yeah, straight hose works better. And one of the things I discovered is using that is it prevented me from getting the opening close enough to the work, so I would see the dust like collecting on the bottom of the big hood thingy.
Wow.
And not going into the the opening, the hose opening.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Mine does that too.
Here's this is the one that came on here. It's metal.
Gotcha.
6 in there, something like that.
Yeah.
The whole idea was to bring it up. Well, do I have to take that all the way out? I guess I do. The idea was to use this when I was turning pins, and it would, you bring it right up and your pin's laying right across here, draws it out. Well, if you're doing a pin, that's fine. But a bowl or a platter, no.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you.
Spindle work.
Yeah, it's for spindle work. That's what that's for. But if I take it off like this.
And small spindle work.
Yes. Yeah, because it's only 12 inches wide. Or thereabouts, 10, 12. What I have seen here lately is if on the end of this, if I make a piece, it'll go in, but come out and round and just kind of curl around. That is supposed to break up some of the vertex that develops around here. Vortex. And it's supposed to actually collect a little more dust. I don't know, but it's worth a try. Won't cost anything to turn one other than a chunk of wood.
Maybe you should put that on your list after doors.
No, it'll go before doors.
Yeah.
Where did you get that stand and pipe combination?
All of this came from Woodcraft.
Hmm.
My father purchased it. He was going to start turning, and he got as far as pins and kind of quit as I got taken off with mine. And then here lately, the last 3, 4, 5 years, he started doing more pin or more bowl turning. So every time I go to visit him, I got to give him about an hour and a half lesson every time, which is fine. I don't mind doing that at all. But when I moved away from Louisville, he gave me this and a few other things. And so, but yeah, that's how I ended up with that. That's a nice heavy stand. Yeah, it's heavy. I have to move it intentionally. I can't accidentally move it. So
That might be something that we can make about, just like what we did with the taking an office chair apart, and using the legs.
sure. Well, except this isn't, I mean, this is all purchased. It's not. The one thing I have had to do, because the vacuum hose doesn't fit exactly. Well, this one does, I guess. There for a long time, I had an adapter in there. I think I was using a different vacuum maybe.
Mhm.
And I do have an adapter for the other lathe that I'm going to use tonight for my vacuum chuck. I'll show you all that when we go over there after a while.
Yeah, I've got one that I basically, I mean, you guys have seen it, I've shown it before, but I hook it to my lathe bed. It's got a little sort of a hook and sort of hangs out the back about the same distance. Mine's a little lower because it hooks onto my lathe bed, but it just, it hooks onto my lathe bed and angles the opening right into the bottom of my work. And I made a little adjustment thing very similar to what Doug has on there, a thing with the slot through the middle of it there. And little thing to hold the end of my dust hose, and that's what I'd use. So
right, anything to draw that dust before so much of it gets airborne.
yeah,
the more we collect, the better off we are.
Yep, the less it's going to get in our lungs and other places.
Yeah, the rest of
Yeah,
the house.
Yeah, right. I'm not worried about the rest of the house except for peaceful purposes.
Right.
But I have discovered that, like you have, Doug, is that when it works best if I get that opening up close to the work.
Yeah.
Because the work is actually carrying the dust for a little bit, and you can see that when you're sanding, especially if you're power sanding, you can see the dust rivulets on the work as it's spinning. And so you want that up close to your work. So as that stuff starts to be propelled off of the work, it's being sucked into the dust collector.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I use is an old blower out of a house. My furnace blew up, and I grabbed the blower out of it, and I have that with a metal dryer duct, and with that I can adjust it wherever, right up next to everything, and it'll practically suck the stuff right out of the chuck.
That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. I was going to do my air cleaner with one of those furnace fans. I've got one from forever ago, but I decided I want to keep because I use it as a fan, and it blows a lot of air. So I picked up a exhaust fan made for dust and the like, and built a box around it. Put a couple of the white cloth air filters in front of it, and it does a good job. I just got to change the filters more often than I do.
Hi,
everybody.
I have to tell you, I was in commercial sheet metal, and I designed exhaust hoods and things. In industry, they don't worry too much about you getting the dust. Number one, they don't want, it costs money to clean things up. And in industry, you suck the stuff right off of the equipment, and it goes in a cyclone and goes in a dumpster behind the place. They don't have time to shovel up stuff off the floor and that sort of thing. So you design a hood for each piece of equipment, and everyone's different, but the hardest part, you're on the right track. Your biggest problem is that 5 inch in front of your lathe, if you took the
Yeah.
2.5 right up and put it right up to where you're working, or the, whatever it is, or if you took the 5-inch all the way back to the main, you get way more volume and you take way more dust out. That 2.5-inch hose, you can't get anything through that. You put 10 foot of that in there with all this, the serrations, the flexible hose. You have a heck of a time sucking anything through that.
Right.
Fans, everybody talks about fans, blowers and all that sort of thing. A fan, a propeller fan, is made to move air, to blow air around the room. And a squirrel cage fan is made to blow about 1/3 of the amount of air against pressure. If you take a propeller fan and put it against a piece of ductwork, you can't blow anything through it. I mean, it just doesn't work. But just thought I'd say a couple of things like that. Just a design. People think, oh, they're going to make a lot of dust over this lathe to put a hood over the whole lathe. Well, you have to move 4 million cubic feet a minute to suck anything out of there. And the best part is it goes past your face before it goes up the hood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just, there's so much to it. The best way to do that is to take, Doug, what do you got, a 5-inch dust collector? Step down to about a 2.5-inch hose?
This is a blah, 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 3-inch, 3.5-inch.
Oh, it looks like 5.
I'll
yeah.
tell you, it's OD is 4 inches going to a
Yeah.
shop vac hose.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, but if you took if you took the shop vac hose right up to the end of where that thing is and
Uh-huh.
put it in the right direction, you do a way better job.
You're probably right. Probably right.
that-
I'm sure you're right.
As soon as you start spreading out the amount of suction you're doing, you're sucking air that you don't need. If you get the key to picking up dust is you take the smallest opening with the same amount of air right at the pickup point. You can't do it 3 feet away. You got to get it right up where you're at. But
Yes, sir.
anyway, just thought I'd say something.
Has
It-
anybody
Thanks,
seen
Jim.
that?
Thanks, Doug or Jim.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen that velocity stack like thing that Mike Peace did a few weeks ago?
That was the thing I was talking about a while ago, that
Yeah.
making a cone of some sort and it velocity stack. That's a good way of saying it. But his point, and I think it's well made, there seems to be, over something like this, there seems to be a bit of a vortex that you got to get this even closer. That thing, it takes that away so that you can have a little space there and get a little more suction away from it. But it's still, you got to have that still. It's got to be close. Got to be close.
Mhm.
And if you're talking about dust collection and 3-inch pipes and 2-inch pipes and rib pipes and all that, yeah, Jim Duxbury, oops, I'm sorry, have to quiet that for a second. Jim Duxbury had it right. When you want information about moving dust around in your shop and collecting dust and all, go to your air conditioning man. They move more air with less effort than anybody else. And if you can find a fat guy who's an air conditioning man, he's going to get the most done with less effort than anybody else. Really. But you will learn that all that flexible hose, that's really cute. You did use the term cute. Go to your 4 and a 5-inch snap together pipe and then seal the joints. And I'm talking seal them and reduce the bends. No 90s, let's go 45s. Let's do a good layout. Let's do a pre-assemble before you snap everything together. Look at what you have to turn. There are reasons why when you put plumbing pipe in, you put too many bends in a drain line, it'll clog up. Put too many bends in a vacuum line, it'll clog up too. You start having bumping on corners. and there'll be pockets and 80s created. And I went to a guy that was an air conditioning man, Jimmy Brister, and he said he looked at what I had put in, and he said, "That is so cute. That is so nice." I heard cute come out first.
Mhm.
I had a 2.5-inch clear pipe system I bought at Home Depot. And he said, you know, when you're done with that, they come in 3-foot lengths. You can use those 3-foot lengths to hold up tomato plants in your garden because that's what they're really good for. And they don't rot. And I said, "Now, come on, get out of here." And he says, well, then he gave me a regular smooth garden hose and blow through it. And then that's my boss checking in. And then he got another a corrugated hose and blow through it. And he said, you can feel the reduction in force going through it because of what it is going through. So Jim Duxbury gave it to you right there. You need help moving dust. Think about going to an air conditioning guy, a fat air conditioning guy. That's the condition. My daddy always said, you want to see how something's done easy? Find a fat guy. That's the rule. He's getting it done, and he's fat. Hey, how much effort is he putting out? But
Right.
you know, I have tried with those pans and the squash and all that stuff, and I don't recommend doing it. But I had somebody do it. A club I used to belong to would do a pig roast every spring, and we'd do it at a fellow's farm place, and we'd do a belt sander drag race and some other fun events. And it was good old great time of just nothing formal, just a whole bunch of boys getting together and being boys and girls and, you know, messing around and all. And the guy, we were talking about fireworks, put fireworks onto our belt sanders to see smoke coming out of them and all. And he says, well, I got to get that smoke out of my shop. And he picked up a dust collector nozzle that went large and then neck back down again. And I started to pull the end of it off. He said, oh, no, that's on purpose because that creates a vortex. See that, Jim? Doug, a vortex creates a vortex. When he put that thing on, it was like the cloud jumped into the machine.
Yeah.
When he took that nozzle off, nothing jumped. It was moving to it. But before then, the whole thing turned around. He'd created an eddy of air that came around to that nozzle, and it picked up. It didn't move more air. It moved more concentrated air. And he said, I don't have industrial in my place. And he used to build and repair furniture as a sideline to wood turning to pay for his wood turning. So, but he'd learned from air conditioning and running air conditioning ducts. So there are tricks to all this stuff, and that's why we're all here on Wednesday nights to talk about where we can get these tips and hints. I love it. That's why we do this.
I have to tell you, in industry, they not only move dust, shot blasters, when they have 4 tons of shot that are the size of a BB, and they want to move it out of the shot blaster and put it in a bin. They suck it out of there and run it through a cyclone, and that dust collector's got to work. Breweries get all their hops and their grain and stuff in boxcars. The guy jumps in that boxcar, he pulls the top out of the door and sticks a 14-inch hose in there that's screaming. And it sucks that stuff in and takes it up 4 stories and puts it in a bin up there. It's not a dust collector. It unloads a boxcar in like 15 minutes, and there's a lot of stuff in a boxcar.
Yeah.
But anyway, they use it. It's not just for protecting your health, but in industry, they move material with it. They even take wire and stuff off of metal lathes and suck up oil contaminants and all that sort of thing. They don't have time, and that time is money, and you don't have guys running around with shovels and wheelbarrows picking that stuff up. It has to be sucked up and moved. And the key to most of it is not just the blower and all that stuff. It's the orifice, what you're doing, the pickup point. You can use way less air, move way more stuff if you pick it up right at the source, rather than try to hood the whole area.
Right.
The whole science.
It really is. It's amazing. But let's get beyond gimmicks. There are no gimmicks out there to do this. Got to go back to where it all got started, physics. For a lesson in physics, we can do that. But it's all in physics.